So check this out. I hope this comes out. But I watched this film last night, Greyhound, and with Tom Hanks about a destroyer in the North Atlantic and trying to get a convoy through to England, to Liverpool, and what they endured. And it reminded me of a story that I'd uncovered when I started looking into my genealogy about 25 years ago. And so looking at the village of Tungate in East Anglia in England, and I looked at the online records and pictures that I could find of the cemetery there. And so I was looking at ancestors, distant cousins, on old tombstones in the graveyard there in Tungate, England. And I came across a tombstone, and the gentleman's name, it started with an L. I can't remember his first name, but it was Tungate, spelled like mine, my last name. And the person had died, I believe, in 1944, 1943 during World War II, and it had their ship listed, and I can't remember the name of the ship, but it was HMS something. And so it piqued my interest, and so I started doing some investigation into that person and their ship and how they died in the war. And the ship turned out that they were doing a similar patrol and actions in the North Atlantic, just like you're seeing on the screen right now. So this is what my distant cousin in East Anglia was doing during World War II, escorting cargo ships and that sort of thing for England's Navy. And the ship was sunk by a submarine, and that's how this ancestor, this distant cousin of mine, died. And so I looked into further records, and I found the U-boat that had sunk my cousin's destroyer during World War II. Okay, I'll say ancestral cousin. Okay, so my ancestral cousin's destroyer was sank by a U-boat in the North Atlantic, just like you're seeing on the screen. So I looked into the U-boat, I identified the U-boat, and in looking at the roster of the U-boat, you can actually, years ago, you can actually find the rosters of all the sailors that were on a particular U-boat. And then comparing all of that and contrasting all of it, looking down the two family trees on both sides of my family, one of the U-boat sailors on the German U-boat that sank my dad's side of the family, my cousin, on the destroyer, there was one crew member on the U-boat who was a distant relative on my mom's side of the family. So I had a distant relative in a U-boat that sank and killed a distant relative on my dad's side of the family, where the member of the U-boat was on my mom's side of the family. That was one really interesting genealogy story that I uncovered years ago, back more than 20 years ago. And I thought I would share that story so it's not lost to the sands of time. And I remember the night I uncovered that, and I put two and two together through my digging. And so that's a really cool story from the past, an unfortunate tragedy, obviously, but the chances of that coincidence are like 1 in a million, you know? So that's your World War II North Sea story of the day. You guys have a good one.